Hello, and welcome to the NUFC360 weekly podcast, All Things Qatar 2022. And to talk all things Qatar, we have Max and Joel. Hello, fellas.
All right.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. It feels like an age since we last watched a Newcastle game, and it feels really good to try and talk a little bit about Newcastle as well. But let's first talk about the World Cup. And I know you haven't caught much of it, Max, but I'm interested to know your views either way. We'll start with you, Max. Has the World Cup lost its excitement this year? This is kind of what I want to know. It kind of feels like that a little bit for me. How's the feeling for you?
Yeah, for me, it definitely has. I don't really know why. It might be because it's in the middle of the winter, and in Sweden, it's really cold and snowy right now. So, for me, always during my childhood, it's always been like the summer event because in the summer there's no football, and at the time, the World Cup starts, and you get excited. And I remember sitting, like going from the beach up to the house to watch, like because I remember the first World Cup. I remember you always have the first one. It was 2010, the South Africa one. It was a really good World Cup, a lot of exciting games, and I remember going and watch those games. And right now, I work during the day, so I can't catch the games. So for me, it's like it's not even going on. I mean, there's some games going on right now in the evening, but for me, it's just really weird. It doesn't feel like a World Cup. It feels like a weird, like, Nations League break or something.
Excellent. Weird Nations League break for you, Joel, or you're excited?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different this year. I think it's because there's a multitude of factors that go into it. Obviously, being in the winter, I've not had that in my time before. I don't know if it has happened before, but certainly I can't remember one. So, and you obviously do associate the World Cup in the summer. There's beer gardens, and it's a lot different. So, the scenes, the atmosphere, it's kind of different, but I think the main thing is obviously the time it's came. It feels more of an interruption to the Premier League season rather than an extra bit of football that brings you joy when the football season's finished. So I'd say, yeah, it has lost excitement. Then obviously you've got the human rights issues, the controversy that's took up a lot of the sort of talks around the World Cup. So overall, yeah, I'm probably not as excited, but I'm certainly not like doom and gloom. Like, I do still look forward to watching England play and watch some of our lads. Obviously, Trippier, Wilson got involved as well the other day. Hopefully, Pope comes on and saves when a penalty shootout or something. But yeah, no, I'm still looking forward to watch England play, and fingers crossed we can go as far as we can.
Yeah, that might be the problem for me because Sweden isn't in it.
That doesn't help.
The emotional factor isn't there. I got nothing to support. I mean, except our own the Newcastle.
You can just look out for Grang though, Grang Koal, other Newcastle.
Yeah. Australia got the same colors basically. Got some yellow in their team.
Yeah, just pretend you're an Australia fan. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think being in the winter has a different feel to it, and it's not quite the same, especially as a Newcastle fan, because the season was in full swing and it just kind of ground to a halt very suddenly. And I think for that reason we've lost a little bit of momentum. However, we were saying just before we came online with Joel that we've got football on 24/7. That kind of supplements it a little bit. That you wake up in the morning and you've got football on from morning to night, basically. But the thing that I think leaves a little bit of a sour taste, and some of the commentators have also mentioned this around the atmospheres, not being able to feel the ground, the issues around human rights and the armband. I don't know if there's been any coverage of this in Sweden, Max, around the One Love armband and the controversy over that. Anything from your end?
Yeah, there has been some comments about it. I mean, our neighbors, I think Denmark, they were I think they were in that group of nations who wanted to wear the armband. They were supposed to have the training kit with the One Love or something, like support something, some sort of support to the human rights stuff, and of course they didn't get to do that. And I feel like it's a really weird one because you would like to see them at least challenge FIFA to a certain extent and maybe do it like in a sneaky way. I saw some suggestions that maybe like the goalkeeper should wear the armband, get a yellow card because they won't probably get another yellow card. But I mean, it's a yellow card. It's not that much to be afraid of. And I mean, yeah, it's a hard one because I get the point from FIFA, but if the nations who signed up for it really wanted to do it, they should. I mean, it could be just been like, yeah, we want to do this, but then they don't, and then, you know, it's just a facade.
Yeah, all good points. Joel, do you have anything to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. It arises a sort of dichotomy of like, you've got people saying respect Qatar's culture and stuff like that. But I mean, I personally take the view as you have to view it holistically and kind of go, it's not right. So I personally wouldn't want to respect it. I think we should challenge it. But then on the other hand, I don't know if it was ever confirmed they would 100% get yellow cards. If that was the case, I can see why they haven't, because that straight up jeopardizes, you know, our performance. Like if players are getting booked, you're then playing the game with a yellow card before it's even sort of started. So I do get on that front why they haven't. But I think sort of FIFA, you've got to point your fingers at FIFA for letting football down, really, in general, for not, you know, for not allowing teams to sort of do this. So
there's a couple of random things that have happened in the World Cup as well, and just because FIFA's bad reputation, I've thought, oh, is FIFA behind this? Like, for example, when Qatar conceded a goal within the first few minutes, and then it was well,
I mean, that was written.
Oh,
that was written in the start.
I was like, what's going on here? And then Saudi Arabia today beating Argentina, but the amount of stoppage time that was added to that game was ridiculous, and I just thought, oh, again, is that FIFA trying to get the Saudi Arabians to? I don't know. Again, it's just FIFA have just kind of tainted it a little bit.
Imagine the moment though, if someone would wear the armband and the referee actually had to go and book him. That would be quite a moment, you know, caught on TV. It would be something special.
Because I don't think that's happened before with anything. Like a player before the match has started has been warned about something, then still, you know, wearing it. I think that would have been a first.
You know, what would have been really, really like crazy would have been if the player had already been booked, then got the armband on to see if the referee would give him the second yellow and send him off. Crazy stuff. Anyway, okay. So I mean, it has sort of lost a little bit of excitement. Although I think once the tournament gets into full swing, I think there will be. I mean, we'll see some exciting games, and hopefully that will help. You know, up the excitement levels a little bit, but maybe not for you, Max. I don't know.
We'll see. There's still a lot of the tournament left.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the next topic. So we mentioned already we've got a few Newcastle players out there. Which Newcastle player will go the furthest in the World Cup? So where are we envisioning? We've got 6 players, including Kuo, potentially. So Joel, I'll come to you first. Which players do you reckon
there's only one answer. Longest? It's going to be Bruno, isn't it? I mean, if Brazil even get out of first gear, they should cruise through the group stages without any sort of problems. And then you've got to look at the starting 11 is head and shoulders, in my opinion, above any other country starting 11. And then you look on the bench and you could probably go field the B team, and they're probably just as good or even better still than any other country around them. So if Bruno isn't the furthest player, who goes the furthest, I'll be very surprised. Obviously, I've got to be optimistic about England, you know, however many years of hurt it's been now. So that might see Trippier, Wilson, Pope. But no, I think logically speaking and being sensible, it's got to be Gomares, hasn't it?
If it is Bruno, that spells bad news for us, doesn't it, Max? In terms of you know, us getting, you know, up and ready for the season starting again.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword with both all the 3 England players and also him, because those are realistically the ones who have the most opportunity to go the furthest. And of course, it will be really hard for us maybe when the season restarts and he's been off to final. And I don't know how much he's going to play. It's going to be interesting to see when they play, if he starts or if he starts on the bench. I mean, considering his form, I would start him. I think he's better than most of the midfielders that they have in the team. And they really have some really good midfielders, so it's hard to beat that. But he's been so informed this couple of months, so it would be hard to see him not play. And if he does, then of course it's going to take a toll on him. I mean, I already got my heart in the throat when I saw that he got off injured and Fabinho had injured in some Brazil training. I was like, oh, Liverpool player, you bastard. So yeah, I hope he'll be fine.
Yeah, it'd be weird if the Brazil manager came all the way up to Newcastle, went out with him for a night out, and then went and watched him in the Villa game, and then didn't pick him. I think I felt like he went there to see if he was worthy of being in the starting 11. It'd be strange to see him not in there, to be honest. But who knows? Who knows? I personally hope Brazil get knocked out straight away. And speaking of the England players, guys, Wilson, I don't know if you guys heard today, Wilson did not train with the rest of the squad. He trained indoors with Maddison. So he did do some training, but not the training the other guys were doing.
Agent training, trying to get the contract sorted, and talking salary.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
Was that fitness related or not, or was it not disclosed?
Well, it's not been quite disclosed what the reasons are that he was training behind closed doors along with Maddison. I think it could potentially be because in the England camp and the Newcastle camp have been in contact, haven't they, in terms of like a bespoke training regime for our players, and maybe they're just carrying that out. I don't know, just as a precaution.
So. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
But Wilson was going for it when he came on. He really was sprinting, and please don't sprint too hard. We're 5-2 up here. There's no 5-1 up. There's no need for this.
Yeah, I've got that. Like, you want them like to be all reserved, but at the same time, like personally speaking, I want them to do well on the international stage. So like, even like obviously the priority is to keep Bruno Guimaraes fit, but like I also want them to show like everyone what he can do and like what he's capable of. So there's that side of it as well. It's kind of conflicting.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a really good point. And speaking of which, we'll move on to our next topic, which is sort of related in a way. So segueing on, players that we need to watch for in January. We've got the January transfer window coming up. Are there any players you guys have your eye on? I'm not a really big kind of like a football manager type of guy, so I don't really know like all of these other players that play for these other countries. But Max, I'll come to you first. Are there any players that you have your eye on that realistically we could potentially sign in January? And if not, where are the positions we should be looking out for on the pitch?
Yeah, the one who caught my eye, who I knew of before, was Cody Gakpo for the Netherlands. He scored yesterday. I saw a really good header. Tall left winger, good. I think he's the captain of PSV Eindhoven. Goal scoring, did a really good season last season. Was surprised that nobody picked him up during the summer. There was talks about him going to Manchester United. Seemed to have died down a bit, but I think that would be someone we could get in at the left wing side to try and challenge Maxi a bit more. I know I've seen him work out today. We always seen his workout videos. Doesn't seem to help, but I mean, if we get another point-scoring left winger, that would be great. But also, it's hard to say because we did so well with Joe Linton on the left and Joe Willock on the left these previous games before the World Cup break started. So, but if I would say a position I really want us to strengthen would probably be it's hard to say, right back and right centre back probably, but that also depends on when Emil Kraft gets back, and also it's also because I think Lascelles is really good captain and good leader around the squad, but as a player for the team right now, I think when I saw him in the cup game when he got the ball, it was always like he's going to lose it, he's going to pass it to Byrne, pass it to Botman. He doesn't know where to go with it. And I think we could use someone a bit younger at centre-back because we have old centre-backs, except Botman then. But also someone a bit quicker would be nice to see, and also good with the right foot maybe.
It's a really good point. I feel like we are a Fabian Schär injury away from like the backline feeling like the way we play being very different, unless we can find a way of Byrne and Botman playing together as centre backs, which I don't know would work. I don't know how I would think of that. Joel, how about you? What are the kind of positions we should be looking out for, and are there any standout players that you've got an eye on in the World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the way we're playing in the minute, I've mentioned it in previous podcasts. I don't think Dan Byrne is he's played consistently, but in that left back sort of transferable between centre back and left back position, he's looked a bit shaky. And obviously, said with the injuries, we are one injury away of maybe bringing in Lascelles or someone like that. So I'd love to sign Ndika. I think are you aware who he is before, like, or not?
No.
So he plays in the Bundesliga. I always forget the team. I think it might be
Frankfurt.
It is, Frankfurt. Yeah. So obviously he's won the Europa League with them. He's got experience. He's still young. And as far as I know, I don't know if it was just paper talks, but there was a rumor that they'd put a 15 million price tag on him. And I think like that was like really, really cheap. I've watched him live, obviously on the telly, and I've watched a lot of compilations of him. And he just looks that like he would suit that role, that sort of role that Dan Burn's trying to play. I think he'd just be a lot better. Like he's played left back for Frankfurt. He's played centre back. He's very confident on the ball. He's agility. He can dribble. He's a ball playing defender. So he's very composed, and it's something that Eddie Howe really looks in a defender. So I'd probably say Ndika. Whether we'll go for him or not, I don't think there's even been one rumor about Newcastle going for him, but I would like to get him. And then this will never happen, but I just wanted to talk about how good Jude Bellingham was, and if he'll ever come to Newcastle, because I mean the kid's 19. And I mean, his display against Iran was just amazing. I mean, did you see him?
Yeah, I watched the game, and he was kind of an all-star, all-action midfielder, wasn't he?
Like I couldn't pull a weakness on him. He was just like the perfect midfielder. And I'm like, you're 19, and because I knew he was good. I'd never really watched him fully before. Might have seen like the odd highlight video, but I mean, him and Bruno in like 3 years' time, like. I mean,
yeah, I mean, why couldn't we sign him though? I mean, he wouldn't be beyond our salary cap. He would definitely be attracted to the ambition of the project and
it'll
some of
just
the
be down to the
players.
It'll be down to the player, won't it? I mean, if we establish ourselves as a consistent, Champions League side within like the next 3 years, fingers crossed, it could even happen this season. Probably wishful thinking, but but if that does happen and he sees we're a Champions League club, then why not? But at the minute, I think, is he linked? Is it Liverpool that won him?
Yeah.
So Liverpool are probably the front runners to the race, but I just thought he put on a ridiculously good display against Iran, and it's really actually showed us how good he is, especially for only being 19.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that one. And the other guy you mentioned, 15 million. That sounds like a snip, considering how you just described
I still
him.
think he's relatively young, and I don't know. He just looks so good. Like he looks a really good player, and I think he would suit Newcastle so well. And I'd probably look at the defensive midfield department, because I've been on about all season. I know Shelby's back now, but I really do want to see Bruno that bit higher up the pitch. And in terms of who I'd get, I don't know about any players off the top of my head. But I would like to sign a defensive midfield. I don't know if you have any sort of options or ideas on that.
Yeah, I think this is where my FIFA gaming comes to fruition. You see all these special cards. I know Joel, you play FIFA, and you see all these special cards. That looks like a player, and then you Google them and you go YouTube and you search Ibrahim Sangare from also PSV. I think big, tall, defensive midfielder.
Really he's strong. Still pretty young as well, I think.
Yeah, I think he's just like 25 or something, which is good, because then it's like on the way to his peak, like in his performance levels. I think it's like 28. You often say like a football player peaks. If it's not Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but it could be something special with him. Or I mean, there's a lot of good. I think we were linked to the Alvarez from Ajax also in the summer.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah,
about him.
He looks a player.
Haven't seen him too much, but I mean, I'm up for anything. I mean, Shelby looked a bit rusty against Palace, and I mean, he's been gone a couple of months, so it's no fault in that. But I mean, he's getting older, and could be time for someone to maybe replace him.
Yeah, I mean, there's one player actually, because I'd done the Argentina preview for Vavel, and I was looking through their squad. You're aware who Rodrigo de Paul is?
Yeah.
So the Atletico centre mid, and I was looking at him, and I selected him as Argentina's player to watch, because obviously it would be boring if I picked Messi or someone. So when actually, look at De Paul, because he's the centre of Argentina's team. And when I was like watching, I mean, I know compilations can maybe misrepresent a player because they just pick the best clips, but I did watch a lot of them, and he looked like the perfect sort of defensive midfielder who's got that Bruno sort of progressive passing in him. He was defensively ridiculous. Like, his interceptions against Brazil in the Copa America 2021 final were like very, very good. And I just thought that like that Atletico Madrid link, Eddie Howe's being over there, learned a bit off them. Is that something, Trippier came from there? I don't know about the agents. It's probably different, but I don't know, but yeah, I would love to get him on board. I think Arsenal will link him. I'm not sure.
You guys sound like your scouting techniques are straight out of the Dennis Wise school of scouting. It's like, but watch
Probably
loads of
is.
compilations of him on YouTube. He's great. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. But yeah, that's hopefully I think we probably only need 2 or 3 squad players to help enhance the squad for us to push forward, provided we don't get a lot of injuries.
I mean,
I do agree that
it's interesting for that right wing position where I seen not that long ago, probably like just around the start of the season when we were like, oh, Almiron, he's going to be a bit hit and miss. But now, like, since the Diaby talks have faded, there's no one like, I'm not itching to sign a right winger like as much as I was. I don't know if that's the same for you. But...
I agree.
Agreed. But I do think we are again a Callum Wilson injury away from going. Okay, is Isak a striker? Is it going to work with him there? It feels like the system that we're currently playing lends itself to the type of striker that Callum Wilson is, and we looked slightly different when Isak was playing, albeit he was only playing for a couple of games. I don't know whether that's a case of training and just giving him time to bed in so that he learns that system, or whether we play him out on the left or the right and we sign another striker that might be able to play a little bit more in the mold of Callum Wilson. I don't know, but I do still think we're a bit light up front. I don't know what you guys think.
I think that's the thing with our formation. I think you say that. I agree with what you said. Like, Wilson fits the way we play so well, and he's quite a unique striker. Like, he's fairly stocky, he's muscly, but he's ridiculously fast. So like, he's got the amalgamation of getting him behind and he can hold up the ball like ridiculously well. And I don't know. I think that's quite a unique sort of play style to have. I don't know who I would like go to replace him with. It's a hard one.
Because Isak is more. He's the one thing he lacks, which is his physical presence. He's he's not that kind of stocky striker who loves to take a challenge with the defender, but he's really quick, and I think his 1-2 play with other players might be better than Wilson's. He's a bit quicker with the feet, passing and dribbling wise. So they're quite the different type of strikers, really. So it could be interesting to see. Maybe I guess Eddie Howe maybe wants to turn the system into a way that fits Isak more in the future, because I know Wilson is a bit old and he's injury prone, so he might have an idea for how he wants to play with Isak in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Isak played on the wing for what was it called last season? Where was he at again, sorry?
Real Sociedad.
Yeah, Sociedad, yeah, of course. He played because the season before he got 17 goals in striker, but then
something like
moved
that
to the wing and his stats like completely dropped. Like you would expect a small drop off, obviously, from striker to winger. You're probably not going to get as many opportunities, but it really was a significant drop in goals and assists. And I don't know if that's like, he's obviously more suited a striker. So is he going to fit in that sort of inverted winger that Eddie Howe's playing at the minute? I'm not sure, but he has looked good. We haven't seen much of him, but he has looked good.
I'm really excited to see how he plays. It's like the one thing I'm looking forward to after the World Cup break is to see how he plays and how he fits in.
Yeah,
It's so few games. I can't even believe he's still like he plays for us still. I've seen him so few times. It's like, does he really play for us?
Does it? Did that really happen? Was that a dream?
Nah, that was dream. Phil, no.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I do feel like he has passed the no dickheads policy that we have for transfers, but I don't know if he's passed the you've got to shithouse your way into the starting 11 policy. And I think that can be taught. That bit, the first policy can't be taught, but the second policy can be. So hopefully we see a bit more from him. Maybe he comes back like really, really hench in December. Who knows?
Yeah, we've seen those kind of transformations during the summer. I think Sean Longstaff,
Emil Kraft as well.
Emil Kraft and Fabian Schär. Yeah. I looked like some pictures before, like during Bruce, and then during the summer. I was like, holy shit.
I know. Okay, so speaking of which, let's segue on then. Because I've got a theory, guys. I've got a theory that this break is an advantage to us. I felt like we were slightly waning in the last 2 or 3 games.
I agree.
Not in an extreme way, but I felt like maybe we were slightly off the pace. I felt like injuries were creeping up on us. And I felt like that intensity, that same level of intensity again, we were just slightly not as intense as we were, 7 or 8 games ago. And I feel like we were going to come to a natural kind of decline a little bit, and we were going to start dropping a few points and maybe slightly drop down the table, the further we go on. And just because of the way we play, right? So actually, I think this really strange break that will probably never happen again has come at a really advantageous time for us, where we can get the core of our squad refreshed again, right? Injury free, get them working again together. We can scout. We've got time now to sit back and scout and think about January in a more kind of strategic way. And a lot of the players that have gone to the World Cup, they're probably not going to play a lot. So we've got 5 core players that are out there. One's going to play pretty much every game in Fabian Schär, but the others probably not. So it won't have that much of an impact. But all of our rivals, all of our top 4, top 6 rivals will have more players out there who will be starting, key players, and they're just going to pick up more and more fatigue. When they come back, they're going to pick up more injuries. I actually think this break couldn't have come at a better time. Does anyone disagree?
I think it's an interesting lens to look at, because I mean, I'd say from at least what I've heard so far, the opinions are like, oh, we've been interrupted, we're on this ridiculous run of form. But when you mention about fatigue and the fitness, I mean, we still played well, but I do think the fitness levels definitely did drop in the last few games. So I think maybe in that sort of perspective of, getting players back fully fit again, obviously the additions of Maxi returning to full fitness and getting Isak back, and overall having a stronger squad to just carry on, then it could be a positive. But it's just like, is this break, we're going to pick up exactly where we left off? Like, that is also not guaranteed, but I can definitely see how it could work out well.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I haven't thought about that way actually, but it's a really good point, because you could see that like by the Southampton game that the players started to feel that I mean, we won that game 4-1 still, but we looked tired, and both Palace and Chelsea game, they put in a really good performance for like 60 minutes or something, but then you saw like the drop off started to come a bit sooner than the games before, and it's also mentally, I guess, these games come thick and fast, and you need to prepare, and you train, and you go again and match, and I guess for the players to play these matches also drains you a lot mentally. So to see them all now on holidays, those who have the 2-week break, I'm really happy for them, because yourself, when you have worked for a couple of months, you have go on a holiday and you get to the mental break, really nice feeling. So that's also a factor, but we simply don't know. It could be bad for us, like Joel said. We don't know. Maybe we start off a bit like the 3-4 games we had after the Nottingham Forest win, when we drew something, we didn't really find our way. But I think a lot of teams will have the same experience. So you simply don't know. But it's an interesting point, that for sure.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it in terms of like Marcelo Bielsa and Leeds United, and how they started off racing out the blocks, and then suddenly they looked like relegation fodder. They just could not string 2 passes together. They were so tired. I'm not saying that's exactly how we're playing, but who knows? All right, let's move on because we don't know, as you say, Max. Time will tell. The final point I wanted to come to, guys, was around sponsorship. So we've had a couple of new sponsorships come through in the last couple of weeks. The Saudi one didn't come as much of a surprise to anyone who was on social media. Probably doesn't come as a surprise anyway, given our owners. And then we had Monster Energy, I think, is our energy drink sponsor as well. It does make me laugh how many different types of sponsors we're going to manage to think of. But what do we think of these? I mean, are they? Do we care as fans? Do we care about sponsorships? Are they something that we need to worry about? Do we care that they are from Saudi Arabia or from Qatar or from any other country where they may have questionable human rights records and other issues? Or as football fans, do we just care about the fact that we're bringing money into the club we're circumnavigating financial fair play, and we're going to get better players, play better football, etc., etc. What are your thoughts, Max? How do you feel about the whole sponsorship stuff?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. In one end, you don't really care about it. It's just something you see like around the stadium and on the shirts maybe. But at one point, you don't want to be associated with like a really like controversial company or that sort of thing. And I mean, if the Fly Saudi thing is supposed to be our sponsor later on, I'd rather see them. I mean, it's an air company, flying air company, and we have right now betting company from China. So it's like the worst one of those out of those two, in my opinion, is the betting company because of the things that betting can do to people. But I mean, also then you look at Saudi Arabia Airlines, what they've done. So it's really tough one. I mean, every club has some like weird sponsor that maybe not the best one out of all of them. But it's. To be honest, I don't really care that much. As long as I don't see Sports Direct on St. James's Park, I'm good.
Yeah, I was going to mention anything, absolutely anything is an improvement on Sports Direct. So, but I think like it's a thing where if someone asks you just as briefly, do you care? Not really, but is it a thing to be sort of wary of and maybe tread with caution in the back of your head? Yes, I think it is. So as long as there's not any major like something that's like morally and ethically where you go like that is absolutely ridiculous. How can one wear that on a shirt in front of 52,000 every week? As long as it's not horrendously bad, I think it's something you keep in the back of your head, you're wary of, and you sort of tread with caution. But as long as it's bringing in even more money to spend more money on better players and improve the club, and then no, I'm not really bothered.
I'm trying to think of a company that would spark that kind of outrage. Joel. Which kind of company would that be? I don't know, but
I don't know.
We need it. We do need it to. I mean, we are so starved of income in in terms of sponsorships over the years that it is unfortunately a necessary evil. I'm with you guys. I don't want it to be anything too controversial. Even things like I think it's at Arsenal. They have Visit Rwanda, which I just find really strange. Like, what has that got to do with any? It's got to do with nothing really. It's just like Visit Rwanda. What does that even mean? I don't know. But no offense to anyone from Rwanda. Just saying, it's just so random.
But I think it actually raises the point about our marketing department and sponsorships, because I think it was mentioned on Twitter. It was a flow of conversation a few weeks ago where it was like, I think it was Man United staff that had like 500 working in sponsorships and marketing, and we have like 3. And it's like, so we've got, we've been took over. We are the richest club by far, but there's still levels that we need to actually match with other clubs to gain income from different areas.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, richest owners, but unfortunately not the richest club yet. So hopefully that will come. All right. Before we set sail, maybe just a one-word answer on this. Max, Cristiano Ronaldo, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
All right, that was 2 words, but okay, give you that.
Oh yeah,
Joe?
Yeah. I mean, I've loved them all my life, but honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this right now at Newcastle. Like, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna have to say no. He's been my goat, but I can't do it. His individuality. He's like
a 6-month contract. 6-month contract to get us in the top 4.
I'd rather have Andy Carroll.
Wow,
that is bold. That's very bold. No, if it was a 6-month contract and he's pay and his wages, like he took like a big pay cut, because I wouldn't want to be giving absolutely loads to him. Then maybe Wilson gets injured. Isak gets injured again. Touch wood, he doesn't, and then Ronaldo steps up and brings Champions League home.
I'd rather see Chris Wood play for us.
Wow. All right. Can I just clarify, Max? Is that Steve Bruce, Andy Carroll, or Alan Pardew, Andy Carroll?
It doesn't matter. Just Andy Carroll.
All right.
No, I mean, I rate Ronaldo, of course. He's been a great player, but I just think the harm it does to our dressing room would be. I mean, I think it would destroy our chance of getting Europe. I honestly do, because it's. I think he's a quite toxic character, not because maybe he's not that guy behind the scenes, but the media circulation, everything. It's just, I don't think it's good for the team.
But he's got to be better than Chris Wood. Like, he's got to be. Like,
Yeah, it probably is, but play Jolinton Fast 9 then.
Yeah.
Work.
Yeah. All right, nice. On that note, then, I'd like to say thank you for everyone for watching. We will be back again next week. Thank you, Max and Joel, for your contributions. Really appreciate the time you spent with me today. Cool. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.